Hi, Jason. How's it going?
Good day. How are you? How you been? It's been a long
Good.
time.
Good. It's been a while.
Yes.
So I think we have half an hour to chat here. We'll dive right into it. But before we get into any of my boring questions, I would like to introduce you a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you've been in the industry for a long time, right? So Jason is a true I feel you're an innovator because you did put time attack on the map here in the United States, in North America. You're a business development special and director of global time attack. You're also um, you have been leading super lap battle as well.
Yes.
And Jason's been putting together fast cars and unique content for the fans, teams, and sponsors for quite some time now. And you also come from the old school of hot import nights, so no stranger to events. Working alongside some of the most talented people in our industry. So, Jason, thank you for joining us on today's panel here.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's great to be back. I love doing this this week. It's great. And of course, it's always good to have an opportunity to talk about time attack racing, here in North America.
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to solely take the credit for time attack here in the United States by any means at all. I'd have to hand that off to the old editors of Super Street Magazine and Sport Compact Car. It was
Mhm.
back in 2004, John the Dairy, a mutual friend of ours.
Yep.
Uh, it was really his idea. I happened to be working at Super Street. I worked there from like the year 2000 to 2006.
Hmm.
And it was, long story short, it was 2004. It was his idea. He was fresh off of a trip from Japan and
Yep.
saw it happening out there and
Right.
wanted to introduce it here in the States.
Yeah.
So it was just a once a year get together at Buttonwillow in November,
Yeah.
clockwise 13 format or circuit, I should say.
Hmm.
And just a few weeks ago, we just had the 20th one in a row, it being 2024 right now. So it's kind of exchanged hands in a sense, you know what I mean? It was myself and Elliot Moran and John Ladary and a few other people that were operating the event as
Yep.
Super Street employees
Hmm.
um, from 2004 up until about 2011. And then when we started Global Time Attack in 2010, I went back to the people at Super Street and just really, kind of told them what my plan was, is that I wanted to get back involved and have our series throughout the year end in November at Buttonwillow and
Hmm.
do an event together. And throughout the years, we ended up just taking it over as
Yep.
things at Super Street have changed, obviously.
Hmm.
And yeah, that kind of leads us to where we were today. So it was very cool. 20th year at Buttonwillow. A lot of ghosts to chase in terms of old lap times and things like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, 20 years. I still remember that first event. We were, I don't even think we had started GT channel at the time, but we were doing best motoring and hot version. And
Hmm.
I believe, was it the first one where we brought the spoon, Accord Euro R? That was the first one, right?
It was the first or second one.
Yeah,
I think it was the first one. Yeah.
yeah. But I remember talking to John around that time, and you know, back in the day, Japanese magazines were having these, time attack battles
Yeah.
uh, at Tsukuba Circuit, and it was basically the magazines would organize same kind of thing that John brought over. I think as you say, he got inspired by what they were doing in Japan at Tsukuba, and then basically brought that concept to and pitched it to his right folks. Said, well, what was it
Yeah.
when John first came back with the idea and told you guys what was happening on the other side of the Pacific, and that he wanted to try something similar over here?
I mean, if you remember me, I come from street racing, drag racing in the 90s, here in Southern California and going to Terminal Island on the weekends and entering the first few Battle of the Imports, with not a very fast car, but being involved and all about, you know, about 1320, just going straight, and how fast
Mhm.
can you do it, right?
Yeah.
So when he told me about this, I was a little skeptical because at that point, I've never even been to a road circuit before.
Mhm.
Uh, I was a straight line guy,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
he put it in a way where it is very true, and we use this to this day, is that it's a lot like drag racing around a road circuit.
Mhm.
The cars are built to do one perfect lap.
Yeah.
So they're built to the absolute limit to whatever class that they're in. Their horsepower, there's no limits.
Yeah.
So again, it's like a drag race car where you're pushing it to the limit, you're pushing the motor to the limit, so they don't last very long.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing that did hook me, was
Mhm.
okay, maybe there's something cool about this. Let's look into it. And what's funny is we borrowed a lot of things from like the NHRA rule book, drag
Mhm.
racing rule book for the first event that you were at back in
Yeah.
in 2004. It was
Mhm.
pretty rudimentary, but over the years we've crafted it and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. When you talk to traditional motorsports folks, they think of, the initial think of time attack as okay, that's qualification, right? That's qualifying. That's basically a time trial. And then the big
right.
difference is that you don't have a race following that one lap, right? So it's
Yeah,
really like you get one shot, a couple shots, but it's only one lap that needs to count, right? You don't
correct.
car doesn't need to last for 6 hours or 3 hours or even an hour. It's just like it just needs to do one fast lap and you can win the whole thing.
Correct. And you might have done that, in an early part of the event. You know what I mean? Because you get,
Yeah.
like you said, you might get 3 or 4 sessions or cracks at it per day, and that's it.
Mhm.
Maybe 2 before lunch, 2 after, and that day is done. So you might have done it in session 2, or you might have, weren't able to do it until session 4 at the end of the day, which was your last chance at it. So there is this pressure, to do it right then, right now, and that's the only chance that you get. And if you make a mistake, you're not going to get the fastest lap time as possible. If you're competing in a corner with somebody, you're not going to get the fastest lap time as possible. So, there are multiple cars out on track, so there is, you know, somewhat of people minding a gap and working with each other in order to have space. We
Yeah.
gap the cars, in a certain way,
Yeah.
with time in between them. I call it track math, depending upon how fast that the particular group is. There's only,
Mhm.
depending upon how long the circuit is, there's only so many cars we could put out there at one time before car one starts to catch, car
Mhm.
10 or car 12 or the 15th car that we put out there in one group.
Do you think that's the appeal of time attack? Like, what is the appeal? Like, I feel like it's the one shot that you get, right? And that's all you get. So the nerves are really there, and like watching it is like thrilling because you get one lap, and it's like I said, it's it makes that special and unique. That part special and
Yeah,
unique.
I think the other thing is too is that it's very much a team sport.
Hmm.
So working with a team, working with the crew, whether if it was put together by somebody or if it's just friends that each one's got a specialty, but you got to do the best at everything. So you need the best suspension setup, you need the best tire setup, you need people that know what they're doing if you're really going to go out there and go fast. And
Hmm.
it really does come down to, just sometimes hundredths of a second, tenths of a second that separates, the podium.
Hmm.
Even though it might be totally different makes of models of cars, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, but then somehow you'll see that, again, it was just tenths of a second that separates them, which is pretty amazing. But I think it's also due to the fact that it's so pure. You're able to go out there and build something very creative. The rules are relaxed and loose on purpose in order to encourage innovation. So you get people that maybe have professional backgrounds, semi-professional backgrounds in motorsports, or no backgrounds. They're just enthusiasts, and they're taking cues from professional race teams and things that they see that work, and they're applying it to their car that they go and compete in time attack a few times a year or out on the weekends. You're also, as a driver, um, there's no blocking, there's no team, it's not a race. It's really like, how fast can I really go in a perfect setting, if there's such a thing. So I think that's another thing that gets drivers wanting to come back and builders wanting to come back, because it's like anything else. It's like you're never done. You could always go faster. You always could have did something a little bit better in that lap, or the car could have ran a little bit better. Therefore, there's always time left out there on the table. So you're always going out there and chasing it.
So 20 years, right? I think that's, quite an accomplishment in itself, and congratulations on that. I mean, what were some of your biggest challenges up until now, from 2004 to 2024?
Um, you know, I'd say it's wanting to build the popularity of the sport up, and being impatient, and hoping to always get more traction and whatnot. Um, and also getting race tracks, the bigger tracks and whatnot to kind of believe in like what you're doing as well. And have them partner up and get behind, to make it easier to produce these events. We've got a great situation at Circuit of the Americas. We do an event there each year, and a new partnership with Pikes Peak International Raceway. We just started doing an event with them this year, and we're doing it again with them next year, called Ascend, end of June. And it's great to work with racetracks that understand what you're doing, believe in it, and get behind it. The Ridge Motorsports Park is very similar up in Washington State, and of course, we've got our home at Buttonwillow, every November. The toughest thing is really, honestly, it's like any other business, is each year, putting together the funds, in order to do it. That's really the tough thing. And that kind of is a recurring thing this time of the year, as you're securing dates and tracks for the year coming up.
Yeah.
I'd say, like almost anything else, money has really just been the biggest hurdle. There's never been a loss for passion or for the love of it. Myself and the crew that produces the Global Time Attack competitions, we all have always just volunteered our time. We've never been able to pay ourselves. Any money that, if there's anything positive, it goes back into trying to make it better next time around.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, you mentioned popularity, so that's audience, right? You're trying to grow your audience, and you've been involved in content as well. What the social media landscape has changed a lot since you first started and today, obviously. How do you think social media and online content has changed the way you think about the sport?
Yeah, yes, you really hit it. Seeing, are you still there? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
screen went blank for a second.
Oh, yeah. No, yep.
Okay, good. Uh, you know, I've really seen a lot, in terms of like, when I worked at Super Street, websites were just starting to kind of come around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was no serious social media yet.
Yeah.
Nothing big. So now, fast forward all the way to today, you know, everybody's got a voice. So
Yeah.
for someone like ourselves, it's more, there's so much more opportunity now to get the word out, to where before there was maybe only a few outlets, and if you didn't have a connection to them, or maybe a way to even afford to take advantage of what those outlets had, then you probably weren't getting heard, except for just within an earshot of your community where you were doing something like this at now.
Yeah.
And with the with social media, YouTube, and the bigger ones like Instagram and whatnot, TikTok, it gives people an opportunity to get an audience and to have their ear. It's a whole nother thing in order to be good at doing that. That's a whole nother conversation, but the opportunity is there. So, I definitely enjoy, the differences and what has happened over the last 20 years in terms of like, the prevalence of social media, the whole online space, and how, we're even doing this right now. It's not something that was even possible 20 years ago. So yeah, I mean, we embrace the technology. I think as people in motorsports and racing, like you have to. So yeah, I mean, I look at it as as something that, you know, we're always looking at a way to do a better job of taking advantage of it. And again, just trying to put the sport in front of more people, and even more importantly, the drivers and their cars and their builds, getting them in front of more people, because it's pretty amazing a lot of the lap times that these people are doing, and they're all just regular people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There, I was just having a conversation with a driver earlier this morning. He's a creator, and this guy brings more views to more than the series, right? And I think you're encountering some of these guys that come in with great cars, and they can drive, but they have these huge followings. Who are some of the like standout drivers or teams that have really done well in that area, for example, of like promoting themselves on social, or getting their name out? Who do you know out there that's doing a good job with that?
um you know there's a few, and there's a few that hold records. So you're going to get some that they're great at the social media part, but maybe they haven't collected any track records at many places. But you've got some that are pretty good at it. I mean, a couple that come to mind kind of quickly would be um, probably Ferris Khartoumi. He's one of the quickest guys right now in time attack. Chevrolet Corvette. He runs in the unlimited class.
Mhm.
Um, he's got records at Circuit of the Americas. At different records at Road Atlanta. All over the place. He's ran in Australia. He's ran in Japan. Um, Another guy that comes to mind would be Cole Powelson, Life Motorsports GTR out of
Yep.
Utah.
Mhm.
Again, does a really great job at content creation. And again, I think he still has the overall record actually
Mhm.
at COTA with a
Mhm.
202
Mhm.
0.8, I think is what it is. Um, Not sure what else can I think of right now. Kind of running a little bit of a blank right here. I apologize about that, but um,
Yeah, no
you
problem.
you are 100% correct though. There have been some people where I'm looking them up, and I look at their social media, and it's like, gosh, they've got double the amount of followers that we have on Instagram, or they've have quadruple the amount of followers that we have on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that's an amazing thing too.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we're definitely about putting time attack as a centerpiece
Yeah.
at predominantly most of the events that we do, and our flagship event that we do at COTA. The time attack's a star of it. So at
Yeah.
the same time, I know that's not the easiest sell, because sometimes you're explaining the sport,
Yeah.
but we're going into I think our 6th year there,
Mhm.
coming up this April, which is great. But yeah, we're trying to work with people with followings like that get them involved in the sport, whether if they're on the fringe,
Mhm.
um, is a great thing.
Yeah.
It definitely helps to utilize their reach. So that's definitely something that we're constantly working on. At the same time too, our main thing is record breaking cars,
Yeah.
following or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your expectations for 2025, and more fast cars in 2025, new event locations? What are your plans?
Well, first up, we've got our Super Lap Battle event at COTA
Mhm.
in Austin, Texas, and that's April 11th to the 13th. Most excited about that. That's our biggest event of the year. Last year, there were a little bit over 7,500 paid spectators that were
Mhm.
at that event over the weekend. So it's really good for Time Attack.
Yep.
Um, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, Time Attack's the star of that event, and the drivers are. We do an autograph signing on Saturday, and on Sunday we do a pit walk and open up hot
Mhm.
pit lane to the fans, which is really cool. So yeah, super excited about that. It's a great event. Um, Low price. It's really accessible for spectators.
Mhm.
We have a drifting ride along program that's there in one of the paddocks. and there's a huge car show and music and vendor and food. So yeah, that's a really fun event. If you have an opportunity to make it out to that. And over the past few years, due to it being an F1 course, it's yielded some of the best and fastest time attack cars around, to compete at it. So you really get a good taste of what time attack's about, at that event. So I'm super excited about that.
Mhm.
And we're back at Road Atlanta. It's usually our second stop in May. And I brought up PPIR earlier in Colorado.
Mhm.
We're there June 28th and 29th for an event that they call Ascend. What's cool about that event is, again, Time Attack's a star. The track puts up a $50,000 prize purse
Oh,
that's
wow.
spread out. Yeah, so it's the only Time Attack I know of that has a big prize purse like that. So that's really exciting. It was, I think this was 2024, I believe, was their second year of doing the event. It was our first year of doing it with them, and a great relationship has started. So, looking forward to that one in 2025 for sure. Really cool event. They've got a stage there, and they've got DJs, they've got bands. Um, they have a drifting ride along program going on there too.
Cool.
And the way that venue is just set up, you can see everything, from multiple places there. So
Mhm.
it's got a cool spectator vibe, which is really neat. Um, and I think this will be our fifth or sixth year back in the Pacific Northwest at the
Mhm.
Ridge Motorsports Park
Yep.
for an event that we call Speed Summit. We work with the track on that one. Again, Time Attack's the star of that one. It's a little bit more regional, but we get a lot of drivers that come down from Canada, British Columbia, right there, and a lot of people from that neck of the United States that aren't able to make it down to Texas or Georgia or to Southern California to some of our other events. And then ending the year in November again at Buttonwillow. Um, this pat we and sometimes if we're able to, we'll throw in kind of an event that maybe wasn't early in on the schedule. We did that earlier this year at a new track called the Podium Club out in Arizona. Not sure if you heard about it,
Mhm.
but we linked up with a group out there and had a great first successful event just back at the end of September. Pretty hot in Arizona still, even in September. So there
Yeah.
hasn't been a date set for that one yet. It might actually end up being like in January of 2026.
Okay.
Uh, Southwest Speed Festival, a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Brand new track. So, they're still building amenities and things like that. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's neat, like to get on the ground floor, of a place.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned a bunch of stuff for 2025, but I wish you all the best. Lastly, I mean, where do you see Time Attack? You've done it for 20 years now. Where do you see it in the next 5, 10 years? Where is this going?
Yeah, I think kind of more than ever, I think we'll start to see, more teams with experience and backing behind them get involved in the sport, which will help elevate it. Um, and I do see the popularity of it growing just in general.
Hmm.
There's much more talk of and more action too of top teams here in the United States, going to Japan to compete, which is where it kind of all started. Going to
Hmm.
Australia to compete, which is where the
Yeah.
biggest event in the world happens once a year, Ian
Hmm.
Baker's World Time Attack Challenge.
Yeah.
All of those things help grow the sport. There's more cars and serious teams interested from Europe, Japan, and Australia that want to make it to the United States. So that's really where the future is going to lie. Is going to be more international competition taking place, whether if it's cars going back and forth or some type of combination of that. And I think what that will do is it will in turn grow the sport domestically here in North America too, which we'll be happy to be a part of and continue to throw these traditional and annual events at some of these tracks that we go to.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, All you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Looking for a quick fix of motorsports news? The Speed Sport Daily is what you need. It's a free racing newsletter delivered directly to your email every day. We'll cover the winners and the losers and tell you who's making news off the track. It's NASCAR, NHRA, World of Outlaw, IndyCar, and so much more. Go to speedsport.com today and get signed up for America's free racing newsletter and get your daily motorsports fix. The Speed Sport Daily.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
Scott Lewis & Associates, the sales, marketing, and branding specialist for the automotive performance industry since 1988. We get our manufacturers on track by opening an extensive distribution network, providing product training to sales staff, creating fully integrated sales and marketing strategies, building successful industry partnerships, attending trade shows, events, and races, offering first-class support to customers. SLAI delivers solutions that win you sales. To get in touch with an SLAI representative, call 516-378-6100. Go to scottlewisinc.com or email info@scottlewisinc.com.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series.
For over a decade, Fifth Third Bank has been a staunch supporter of our industry and a great partner for many companies in the motorsports field.
our business has been growing extremely fast. And really, we could not be where we are today without Fifth Third. They provided amazing strategic advice, the capital we need to support our phases of growth.
They are true partners for me now, and what they do with their involvement in motorsports is untouched in this community.
Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck with Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crowder Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crowder Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crowder Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crowder, victory is within your reach.
For over 25 years, Wisconsin-based CTech Manufacturing has been engineering and manufacturing the toughest, most accessible aluminum tool drawers, cabinets, carts, and tactical storage solutions for America's hardest working professionals. Whatever you need to store and however you need to store it, put your trust in CTech Manufacturing. We build it better. Visit our new website at ctechmanufacturing.com or give us a call at 715-355-8842.
If you're watching this video, you might be wondering, what is WPC? WPC is a surface treatment designed to reduce friction and increase the strength of metal parts. As much as it might seem like a coating, WPC is actually a surface treatment. Think of it like shot painting, but the media is much finer, like talc. So what you're left with is a super hard, smooth surface that actually has some proprietary dry lubricants embedded within it. For more information, visit WPCtreatment.com.